Today's episode of the 7-Minute Sales Minute is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/7minute. That's www.audibletrial.com/SEVENMINUTE. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the 7-Minute Sales Minute Podcast, your bite-sized and easy-to-digest guide to jumpstarting your sales career and putting you on the road to gaining more prospects, more clients, more business, and ultimately, more income. On this episode of the 7-Minute Sales Minute, we interview Mary Agnes Antonopoulis. Mary Agnes is a social media strategist whose client list includes best-selling authors, Academy Award winners, award-winning artists, Hollywood producers, and that's just the beginning. With over 100 speaking gigs for associations, organizations, and corporate clients, her experience speaks for itself. Even after more than 100 product launches with funnels and social lead-in, Mary Agnes still lives to serve others and believes that social media can change the game for anyone. She took the time out of her busy schedule to sit down with us this week and share some of her encyclopedic knowledge of social media. Grab a pen and paper, folks, because you're going to want to take notes for this one. We all have an audience to discover us, and Mary Agnes wants to help us along the way. Without further ado, here's our interview with the one and only Mary Agnes.
So thank you for agreeing to be on our podcast, the 7-Minute Sales Minute. Not that this is limited to 7 minutes, but we appreciate it. You have been a huge influence in my business. And, I just want to share a story for this, anybody who's listening to this. But the way I connected with you was via Ryan Lee. He was selling his Freedom Fest videos, which I bought. You were an amazingly dynamic speaker. And in your presentation, I learned something, but you said, I'm giving my phone number and only 14 people have ever called me. I've been giving my number for a decade, however long you said. So I called you and said, hey, I want to be your 15th caller. So for any salesperson who is listening to this, take advantage when people give you their phone numbers, because I called you, we had a great talk, and you gave me some incredible advice, which has been groundbreaking in my business. So Scott and I do this podcast, but my business is, I'm an executive advisor, business coach. And you said, I want you to start doing a video every single day, which I did 7 days. And then I went down to just Monday through Friday. But it has been it has had a tremendous impact on my business. It has helped a tremendous amount of people, and I'm able to reach and share advice with people, and it's all because of you. So thank you, a billion times.
I want to tell you the next step to that. I'm just going to jump in and give more advice. If you're putting up a video every day, if they're really short, you can have them opt in for a longer one with more information on the same topic.
Oh, that's actually a really good idea. All right, good. We're jumping in. All right, good. So listen, Mary Agnes, for all of you listening, is the social media guru of the internet. If you are looking to figure out how to utilize the social platforms, Mary Agnes is ideal. She is having an incredible conference at the end of January, I think 29th and 30th, correct?
Yep, it should be fun.
It's going to be great. I can't make it, but I've already bought the series, which I can't wait to watch. So she's going to be giving priceless information out today. So, you, somebody who I respect a ton, just did a whole show this afternoon with Ryan Lee. So I'm sure you're fresh with all this, great energy and ideas. Enough of me talking. Tell everybody, maybe for starters, the 5 best social media tips that you can give.
Oh, I'm so happy to do that. That's my favorite.
Okay.
So I'm going to stay on video for 3 of the 5 tips. So number 1 is those 1-minute videos that I had you start shooting every day.
Right.
Change the game, because YouTube is owned by Google. I don't know how many people know that, but YouTube being owned by Google, if you start shooting videos every day, your Google ranking goes up. So it's a great way to get your face out there and be your own ambassador, to share your expertise that might be unique to you. So you start building brand advocacy, brand recognition. But the biggest thing is you start raising your Google ranking. And we might not talk about that so much in social, but I mean, your Google ranking is how often does Google suggest you when somebody types in a search in your realm.
Right.
So that starts to raise and raise and raise exponentially. So those videos are so important. So 1 minute on social. And tip number 2 is tell them opt in to get 4 great tips on this same topic. And all you do is every single day you drive to the same video. And so you have sort of an editorial calendar. All week long, you're talking about the same thing. 5 days a week, you send out a tip a day, and you send them to the 4 tips that they haven't seen yet. And we know people are only using social when they're on, right? They're not on when we're on. So if you start doing those videos like John does every day, 5 days a week, then you have 4 more tips. All you need is 10 tips in total.
Right.
So an autoresponder on Sunday, so anybody who's opting in gets these 4 already.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So the third tip about video, I just wanted to say it's, you want to put those videos up on YouTube because YouTube is owned by Google, but you also want to load them organically to Facebook. Because if you load it to your Facebook page, that's your business page or your fan page, rather than just your profile, then Facebook will let you put on a call to action at the end of the video. So have you guys seen that? It's only available on a page, not on a profile or a group. And at the very end, when you send in the video, it says, do you want to edit this video? Always say yes. And it'll give you a place to put a title, a little description. And at the very bottom of that template, it says call to action, no button. It defaults to no button. So a lot of us didn't notice it, except we have an agency, so we noticed it right away. Click no button and you get choices like opt in, learn here, register now. There's like 5, buy now, and you can give them a link and it makes that video clickable over to your webpage.
Oh, wow. That's terrific.
I know, like only marketers are really excited to use also writing. Everybody else is like, who cares? But if you're sending more traffic to your site from social, there is a huge opportunity to convert social to list conversion. That's where the money lives. That's where the revenue lives.
Amazing. Tell us more.
So those are my 3 tips. My 4th tip has nothing to do with that whatsoever. Well, put those videos on LinkedIn also. So you can put them on your LinkedIn profile or as an update just to LinkedIn that gets blasted out to your followers. But the thing I like most about LinkedIn is to put up PowerPoint slides as SlideShare. Because the real revenue, like, show me the money kind of revenue, is on LinkedIn. But none of us know what to do with it, right? So start putting your great PowerPoint presentations, like you and I, Ryan Lee, like we've got great presentations. Load them on SlideShare, put that on your LinkedIn, and the CEOs start searching for SlideShares based on the topic they want to learn about. That is the number 1 space that high CEO decision makers go to is SlideShare.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Who knew?
Everything you say is filled with such rich content, Mary. Was there another one that you wanted to throw out?
Yeah, I would say the last tip is have a podcast. So everybody's doing podcasts, and we're all like, well, what kind of real estate is there left for me to get? Who's going to want to listen to mine? But I like what Ryan did, the 10-minute podcast, right? So the 10-minute podcast, but the win is not who's listening. Like, great, whatever, a few listeners, because there's not a lot of revenue conversion from podcasts. But the intimacy of having a discussion like we are right now, 10 minutes. And in a podcast, you'll generally be talking to them about who they are and what they do. Like we're doing swapped expertise. That's different. But if I asked you to come on, I was just talking about you, John. What are you doing? Who are you? What's your most important stuff? Like there's an intimacy in that conversation that oftentimes can become a shared revenue experience, an opportunity, a chance to go out to lunch. Hey, we should catch lunch sometime, man. Like there are the seeds of a relationship with the people you'd like to work with. You just say, hey, I'd love you to be on my podcast. I've done 200 episodes. I have a client who's got 200 episodes, 1 million downloads, who yesterday said, I don't see the ROI in this. I was like, holy cannoli, you need to be reaching out to the people you interviewed and follow up and make those relationships come to fruition. So That's the win for podcasts.
It's great.
So yeah, for service providers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, with so many different social media outlets out there, they don't really come with instruction manuals. What are the biggest mistakes you see people making?
Oh, let's go through really fast all of them. Let's do all
You're
of
the instruction manual.
Exactly.
Just so everybody knows. Right now, you're listening to the instruction manual.
So on LinkedIn, the biggest mistake you can make is in their headline, their space where you can put your headline, people put their title. So if I see CEO of Rockaway Writer, like that would be my formal title, or CMO of Viral Integrity, who knows what that means, So they're coming to me only because they know me then. But if I put in, social strategist NYC, because NYC has a brand, right? So I'm going to piggyback off of whatever branding I can. So social strategist NYC, top speaker blog world, speaker IBPA, like you use that headline as a headline to broadcast all your great stuff and not as your title. Number one mistake on LinkedIn.
So you gave me that advice. I want to interrupt you for a second because you also gave me that advice.
Yeah.
And I changed my LinkedIn title, and I changed it to, so I'm an executive advisor, business coach, and I changed it to C-level exec, ? Stuck, ?
Yes.
I grow businesses big, period, very big. And I have gotten two, so people who are listening, I've gotten 2 clients because they've called me and said, I saw you on LinkedIn. I'm a C-level executive and I'm stuck. And they read it, right off because of you. So,
well, that is the best. Yeah. That is the best implementation of that advice I've ever heard. I might go piggyback off of what you did. Socially confused, socially diseased. Let me know.
So what else? Because I think people make a ton of mistakes, but what are some other common mistakes?
Well, I don't know who your audience is 100%, but I'm going to speak as if we're all CEO, exec level service providers. So what I want to say is if you travel the country for anything, go and do an advanced search on LinkedIn and tell them you're going to be in their area and you want to support them. So if I'm going to San Francisco for my event, let me go search San Francisco, reach out to 10 of the highest people in there, like Adobe's there, and say, I would love to come and give a presentation on turning your your employees into a branding army. Like I want every company out there to know how to use their 30 employees as their personal branding army. Give them a suite of posts, give them a suite of pictures, let them choose, make them opt in to be part of this. I think that's a great win. So I'm going to reach out to Adobe while I'm out there. So it starts 3 months before you travel somewhere. You start sending a note, then you send a video note, but use LinkedIn more than we all are. I mean, this is really where the ROI lives on social media.
Sure. I love that you talk about video notes. Since you gave me the video tip, I'm, video crazy with my clients. I'm trying to get them to think video. It's outstanding. When it comes to social media, I think people I don't think fully understand how to do SEO, and I think that's so confusing. Everybody thinks that they can maybe they don't know how to do it. They don't know who to reach out to do it for them. They embed in their site. Can you talk a little bit about SEO?
So the thing about SEO that people don't understand, well, let's just go from the basics. The first is any space that has a search bar has an SEO model. So SEO literally is what it says. It's search engine optimization. So you want to be optimizing the search on every single platform. So Facebook has a search bar, so it has search engine optimization, as does LinkedIn, as does YouTube. And all of those feed into the Google, the Mac Daddy of search engine optimization. And Google ranks your website. So this space of search engine optimization goes from the bricks in the wall to the wall itself, and the wall itself is Google. Now, Google, about 18 months ago, Google had recognized all along that the model for search engine optimization was broken, right? The model was they would use keywords from your website and how often it was updated to rank you. But quickly, people figured out how to game the system, and SEO companies were born. And then the only way you could get found was if you gamed the system and had an SEO company. So a good example is a weight loss person could never get found above Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig. I mean, forget it. Even if you had high credibility, like JJ Virgin was our client for years, we could never get JJ above Weight Watchers, never. In the meantime, the best you could hope for was a secondary line. So if JJ was about non-inflammation diets, hopefully you could get found there. But all the big guys really saw the secondary market, so they would impinge upon you as well. So what happens? Google hates that it's so non-democratic, and they go out and make a new model for SEO. So they create the social grid model. And there are two updates that happened, if anybody heard about these. They were called Penguin and Panda. And incrementally, they rolled what you do on social media into how Google treats you as a company and as an individual. So now, if you don't have a social presence, you don't have a Google ranking. You really have to be just active on social, active on your website. You have to be active online for Google to really start to recognize you. That's my opinion. I mean, it's published. It's Google's. It's at Google. This is how they run the world. You know, they're watching everything we do. So when we turn off our cookies, we sort of do ourselves a disservice.
Right.
That makes sense. So what are your thoughts on these, like Hootsuite, TweetDeck, that sort of thing that automate your social media? Is that something that's good, or is that?
No, they're not good. You know, for a long time they were great, and I'm like, yay, do anything that makes your life easier. But what we saw happen was Facebook started banging people who used Hootsuite. So if you're pre-scheduling your posts through a third-party platform, you get about 1/10 as much exposure by Facebook. Why? Because if somebody clicks their link, they get over to Hootsuite. Facebook doesn't like anything that takes people off of Facebook. You know, they sell advertising based on how many people are on Facebook live at any given moment. So they can see the ups and the downs and the locations. And, you know, people are very sophisticated with Facebook ads, even little people. So they're going to market to San Francisco people based on my ad requests, but only to people who are on live. There's no win if they have people clicking away to YouTube. So that's why we don't float video across with a YouTube link any longer. We upload it directly to Facebook. So if you want to delay your posts, just schedule them on Facebook. That's why there's a scheduler.
Very interesting.
And if you hire somebody to do social, like I get hired, like I have an agency, don't let them use third-party platforms. Make them respond in real time to your tweets. Make them post in real time. I mean, an agency should have the manpower to do that, or they're not big enough for you.
Right. Let me just comment that on your agency, and you may not want to say who some of your clients are, but I know we've talked. You know, for those of you listening, your clientele is many of the who's who are doing social media placements.
Yeah, high pedigree. We're very grateful for this. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're phenomenal what you do. You're approachable. You're fun to be around, and you always are direct and say it how it is. So let me ask you a question. So I want you to give, because I want it to come from you, the advice you gave me, you know, whether you're a C-level executive, an owner of a business, a salesperson, you know, and you're, you know, tell everybody how to do a 1-minute video.
Oh, okay. So the thing about 1-minute videos is you really want to have this formula. I used to do a formula 1-minute video. Like, first of all, it was 2-minute tip of the day. And I would say, first, give your name, rank, serial number, which is your name, your website, 2-second mission statement. Why do you do what you do? Then give them the tip, and then exit with name, rank, and phone number. But you know what? We are so invested in our industry and to helping people do the right thing. We watched our own videos get less and less views. So then we started testing it again, and here's what happens. I went back to what I learned from Christine Comerford, my first client. Well, maybe she was my third client, but my first big client. She wrote Rules for Renegades. If anybody has an ancient memory, it was like 8 years ago. And she said, always go from their pain. Then people start relating to you. So I was going through old notebooks. I was like, oh, I'm going to do video that way. So now we have everybody doing this. You know how frustrated you get when you're on social media for 5 hours and you're answering questions and you're pouring your heart out and you're building relationships and you haven't built anybody to your list. You're not getting any ROI and you're so frustrated. Is everybody nodding? So this is what I would do on video. Everyone's nodding when they watch the video. And then I say, well, I'm Mary Agnes Antonopoulis, and I've helped so far about 18,000 individuals and 22,000 companies over that exact hurdle. So let me help you. I'm going to give you one tip right here. And this is the same tip I apply to like Jordan Belfort, The Wolf of Wall Street, Jack Canfield, Christine Comerford, JJ Virgin, all New York Times bestsellers. So you give yourself like that quick second, talk really fast, because you want to tell them why you're better at what you do than all the other social media people. How many people do we know in social media? Every time I make a left turn, I run another of us over. So I want to tell them why I'm better, and I'm just going to give good advice. So I'm going to say, how painful is this? Yes, here's who I am, just to give a credential. And then what do we do? So what do we do? If you're not practicing social to list conversion, if you're not constantly moving people over to your list, constantly every day, you're really spending wasted time on social media because you can't market as aggressively through social. It's inappropriate and we don't do it. So get them over to your list, and immediately when they join, opt them into something wonderful. So if they're watching a video, offer them 4 more videos on the tip or another 4-minute tip video, right? So move them from one thing to another. And then once they come in, say, I'm so grateful you watched that video. It was my privilege to serve you. Let me invite you to my next webinar. And then you move them to a live Q&A webinar. And from there, you can sell them something. By the third touch, somebody who wants to work with you wants to hear what you have to sell. So it's not inappropriate. So the first touch was on social. The second touch was at the opt-in. The third touch was the webinar or whatever is appropriate for you. And then at the end of that, I say, you know what, I don't even sell at the end. I sell right at the beginning. I just say, for those of you who are really busy, I want you to know how to get into my class. And they make it appropriately affordable to any man, right? So I say, you know, the class is $300, but if you can't afford it, I want you to tell me that. I teach that class anyway. I want to figure out how to make it work for you. So please come to the class. Just tell me it wasn't a fit for you financially. You know, we just let people come in if we need to. There's no win in not having those people in your audience. So that's sort of exactly what I would suggest doing. Like, you do your video, and it's the formula, just to recap, is pain, credential, release, that means your tip, and call to action. I wish I could make it an acronym like the park, you know. I know, right? But pain, credential, your release from the pain, which is the tip you promised, and then the call to action in 1 minute, 40 seconds.
That's outstanding. Mary Agnes, tell people, you know, feel free to tell people who your clients are, but I also want you to tell people how, where they can go to get more information about you. And I want you to tell them about your event that's coming up, because it's going to be incredible. And the information is going to take their business to a different hemisphere. So share with everybody.
Well, I think it will too. I have to say, you know, we faced the difficulty of pouring. Like, I don't just teach social media, right? Because that would be so empty. We have a 57% high open rate on a list that went to 100,000 people. So for us to get 57,000 people to open something was phenomenal. And that's all about open. That's all about your subject line. So one of the things we're going to teach that has nothing to do with social media is email trickery and subject lines to get open rates. So, you know, there was just too much to pack into one day. So what we did was make a 2-day event where even if all you can go to is 1 day, it still made financial sense. So it had to be inexpensive. So it's a $297 event. It's in San Francisco on the 29th and 30th of January. And we're going to do it on the East Coast in March. I'm going to work with Ryan Lee, and we're going to piggyback his events somewhere. Yeah. And I think, I just think it's going to be phenomenal. We're going to teach each of the social platforms. We're going to teach with guests the things I don't teach, like Facebook advertising. I teach YouTube advertising 5 times more successful than Facebook ads, you guys. Think about why. I'll just throw you a really important tip. When somebody's on Facebook and sees an ad, they're like doing random stuff, watching their family, right? They're looking at pictures, they're looking whatever, and an ad pops up. When somebody's on YouTube looking for how to fix my car, and you pop up an ad that says, don't fix your car, buy a new car. Like, they're already in the pain of their car. They're already in the pain of social media or the pain of executive management. Like, I'm so stuck. How do I bust my career wide open? And then your video pops up. So they were already in pain when they got there. So that's going to be an important part of what we teach. And then the best practices for every network, how to write your blog if you're not a writer. We're going to have somebody there doing headshots for free. It should be a lot of fun. So that's the event. And we've gotten, I mean, as far as who we worked with, like, we just have a high pedigree of clients. And I have to be honest, like, I don't really know how that happened. I feel like a hot mess most days, but I problem solve. And webinars, we're going to teach webinars, but I problem solve really fast and I never forget anything I learned. So I just think it's been useful to people. That's really it. And the
website, tell them the website, the Facebook page, to actually go to the event.
I have the worst website known to man. The event isn't even on it. I know, it's so stupid. But find me on Facebook, because the event is on Facebook. It's facebook.com/rockaway-writer. Writer with a pen, not a pony. You know?
Yeah. And let me just say this too, because I can't make the event, but I paid for a college student to attend the event.
Sponsors a student, yeah.
Yeah, I sponsored a student. So for those of you, I'm telling you the information, you've got to get this information. And we're going to launch this podcast in the next day or so for you, so we can, get some momentum for you. But if you can't go, sponsor somebody, get the information. And or if you're listening to the podcast when this is done, still go and buy the videos.
Yeah, what we're going to do is go back and edit the links. So what somebody can do if it's before the event is sponsor a student. You register as if it's you. You just shoot me a note, and then the student gets to go for free, and you get all the videos and all the workbooks and the updates to the workbook for a year because social changes so fast. So every other month, we're going to update the workbook with the latest information. And I think it's just such a solid one. I'm so glad we came up with that. We've got 18 students coming who were paid for.
Wow.
Yeah, we teach this class on social media, John, and it started as a way to teach other work-from-home moms how to make revenue. We graduated 15 women into their own businesses so far. It's been a privilege. It's really great.
Wow.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so thanks for sponsoring somebody.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
So, Mary, thank you so much for joining us. This has been amazing. My mind is blown. Seriously, there's smoke going on. The gears are spinning.
Oh, can I give a final blast out?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I just wanted to say two things. Number one is, social media is the great equalizer. It is a space where, due to the change in the SEO algorithm, if you're active on social, you can find your right audience. It doesn't matter who else is out there. And video really pitches us to our audience. Only certain people are going to be attracted to my sort of frenetic, dynamic, let me solve this in 12 ways in 12 seconds. Other people are going to look for somebody a little more soft-spoken, a little more serious, perhaps. But they're going to find that person. In video who somebody is. You can watch their body language, how they speak, the tilt of their eyes. And that's how we're attracted to people at first. So video is so powerful. And for anybody who feels like they're behind the game already, like they missed the wave, it's just not true. Start implementing and you enter at exactly the right time in your universe. That's just how things work,
You're the greatest person in the world, Mary Agnes. I can't tell you how much we appreciate you being on this podcast and sharing everything. I have learned so much from you. I continue to. I learned a ton today, and it's been a privilege to have you. Thanks for doing what you do and sharing your gift with the world.
Thank you for the fun. I really love being your friends, both of you. Thank you.
Scott, any last minute questions?
No, just definitely want to say thank you so much for joining us. We're going to make sure we put links to everything for you in the show notes here.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the 7-Minute Sales Minute. For show notes and worksheets pertaining to this week's show, check us out at the7minutesalesminute.com. Take today's strategies and run with them. Increase your sales and increase your income.